Okay, so for the last month or so, I've been hearing constantly about this new show called Heated Rivalry. Seriously, it's been kind of impossible to avoid. I mean, this thing has become a cultural phenomenon, and everywhere you go on the internet, you're bound to see either one of these two guys' faces. And what a treat that is. All I knew was that the story centered around two gay hockey players, but that was pretty much it. So one day I figured, yeah, why not? Let's check on this show and see if it's as good as people are saying. And now that I've finished it, I have my verdict. Yep. Yeah, it's good. I like it. Yeah. Cool show. Heated Rivalry is pretty awesome and really refreshing for a lot of reasons. It flips a lot of TV tropes on their heads with an incredibly intimate and personal story, A+ performances, and overall, I walked away from this thing feeling thoroughly impressed. So today I'm going to tell you all why I really like this show and why I think the immensely positive audience and critical reception is absolutely justified. But before we get into that, apparently only 10% of the people who watch my videos are actually subscribed, which is just a crazy number to me. So if you do enjoy this video, then please do subscribe. It helps the channel out more than you know. And if you want to see me watch the whole of Heated Rivalry, then you can do so on my Reacts channel, QWERTY Reacts. So if you want to see me looking at basically a blurry screen for the first 2 episodes of the show, you can, link in the description. Okay, so Heated Rivalry is the story of Shane Hollander and Ilya Rozanov, two rookie players on the ice hockey scene who have to balance being arch rivals in the public eye and secretly catching feelings for each other in private. Occasionally we switch perspectives and I will talk about the other characters, don't worry, but for now, let's focus on our main two. Given just how much of the show's screen time is dedicated to these two characters and how much hinges on their relationship, everything would just crumble if the actors weren't perfect in their roles and their chemistry was off. Fortunately, Hudson Williams and Connor Story both bring their A game to Shane and Ilya, and their chemistry is absolutely electric on screen. I bought into their romance so deeply that it felt wrong seeing them be platonic in interviews after watching the show. Like, why aren't they both deeply yearning for each other? What the fuck's going on? Shane and Ilya both feel like very rich and complex characters, and their relationship is one of the best that I've seen recently on TV, and I think the main reason for this is that the writers don't treat the audience like kids when it comes to these two. The growth of Shane and Ilya both individually and together is very believable, mature, and natural. You know, like in every show ever, there's always some crazy forced drama between the main couple to advance the plot. Well, not here. They have fights sometimes, but even in those more tense moments, the love that they share for each other always shines through, especially in those later episodes when they become more comfortable with each other. Watching their relationship go from, oh my god, we're so bad, we're gonna get caught, but this is so sexy though, to I love you so much it physically hurts is quite a journey, especially because you can clearly see that these deeper feelings exist from the very beginning, but the real shared arc of Shane and Ilya is learning to come to terms with the fact that they are in love and working out what they're willing to sacrifice to be with each other. Additionally, these two work so well because the individual characters are so rich and compelling. Ilya comes across as a bit cold-hearted, dry, and a lot of the time emotionally unavailable. His mother died from an overdose when he was 12, and he was the one who found her body, which, like, Jesus, yeah, what a backstory. His true personality is very similar to how his mother used to be, but his brother is exactly like his father. Both cruel, old-fashioned, controlling, and arrogant, and as if his family life wasn't complicated already, his dad has dementia, which slowly gets worse as the show goes on until he dies. And even though Ilya had a very rough relationship with his father, he can't help but be angry that his brother was the one taking care of him while he was off living the life of a celebrity. Of course, in reality, he was paying for his entire family to live their lives back home, but his shithead of a brother makes him feel guilty for this, and that's just another reason to add to the pile of why Ilya is so closed off and why he puts up a facade so much of the time. With Shane, he finally feels like his true self, but that terrifies him. His true self is exactly what he's been hiding from this whole time, especially because, you know, Russia doesn't exactly love the idea of homosexuality. And even as hockey, as I found out from the people in my Reacts channel comment section. I didn't know this before watching the show because I am a privileged straight man, but yeah, apparently the sport is not very accepting at all. Watching Ilya progress throughout the show and let go of everything toxic holding him back is very emotional, and Connor's story really aces it. Plus, Ilya is just so funny, like especially when he's with Shane and we see his humor really shine through, he's hilarious.
What the fuck was that?
A loon?
A what? What kind of a bird makes a noise like that?
A loon. A fucking wolf?
Stupid Canadian wolf bird.
Speaking of Shane, he's a very chill, kind, sensitive, and at times awkward guy who, like Ilya, feels a lot of pressure. Being one of the only minority hockey players out of his hometown, he feels like a representative for his whole community, and that weighs on him a lot. Part of his struggle in this show is also contending with the life that people expect him to be living. His friends are getting married and having kids, his parents are pushing him to settle down as well and keep pitching business ideas to him, when in reality, all Shane wants is to be with the one person who he literally cannot be with and enjoy hockey as a hobby again without feeling all this pressure. Hudson Williams does really well at portraying Shane. He feels very real, and I like the small little moments moments that define him as a character. Like when he neatly folds his clothes before hooking up with Ilia at his apartment. He's a respectful little freak. He's very respectful. In some ways, Shane and Ilia are opposites, but their sheer infatuation with each other overpowers their differences. I've also heard a few people say they felt as though there wasn't much plot in this show, and to that I disagree. The plot lies within the characters. It's actually really refreshing in this day and age. There's no external threats, like no one threatening to out them, or I don't know, some like multiverse-ending forces that they have to deal with. The story is told through the progression of Shane and Ilia's relationship, and I think that forces you to focus on the characters even more. I love how when the show starts off, Shane and Ilia's relationship is full of adrenaline, lust, and an underlying sense of anxiety. Everything down to the music and color scheme of the first few sex scenes, which, can't really show if I want to make money here, which I do, just creates that sense that this is something new and electric, but also terrifying and totally out of their comfort zones. But as the show progresses, and certainly when we get to episode 6, the colors are brighter, more full, and the show's pace slows down a little. It gives Shane and Ilia time to breathe. We still get the sexiness, but it feels more comfortable and familiar. There's no longer the sense that this is something new and scary, because they now feel more at ease with each other than anyone else. And I think the way that the show articulates that without words is really mature and profound. Anyway, so you get it at this point, right? Shane and Ilia are great, they're cute, they're sexy, but what's going on with the rest of the show? Well, first, from a visual standpoint, the show is really impressive. Episode 6 at Shane's cottage in particular is gorgeous, and there are other moments throughout the show that you just can't help but look at and react like this. Speaking of episode 6, I really love it. It's not like your typical season finale with huge stakes, a looming threat, and shitloads of tension. It is an hour-long honeymoon of Shane and Ilia living their absolute best lives, and it feels like a reward for both them and the viewer for sticking with them through their hardships. There's a bit of drama towards the end where Shane's parents discover him and Ilia, but that's resolved pretty quickly too. I also think the role that women play in this show is really interesting. Every female character in Heated Rivalry is amazing and are all kind of a support network for our main cast of characters. Rose has a great dynamic with Shane and gets him to finally work on accepting himself and talking about his sexuality with others rather than just bottling it up for years. Their friendship is very sweet, although one minor complaint I do have is that I wish they explored the public aspect of Shane and Rose a bit further. The show makes it very clear that Shane and Rose are a very big deal online, both being huge celebrities, so I would have liked to have seen more of Shane feeling pressured to like keep up the facade out of fear of what would happen if they were to break up. Would things get really messy? Would people start to question his sexuality? I don't know, I just feel like it could have been interesting to explore. Anyway, Svetlana is also a great support system to Ilia. She is always there to remind him who he truly is when he starts to lose himself or when he becomes wrapped up in the expectations of his family and his country. Svetlana knows that Ilia will never be in love with her romantically and even figures out his sexuality for herself, but still dedicates herself to ensuring that Ilia knows how deserving he is of good things, of having a good friend like her, a man like Shane, his success, all of it. And then we have Elena, Kip's best friend, who also acts as a motivator for Scott's arc, but to talk about her, I first need to talk about Kip and Scott themselves. Episode 3 of Heated Rivalry focuses solely on pro hockey player Scott Hunter and barista Kip as they fall in love and live out a fairy tale, while the harsh reality of life outside their little honeymoon bubble starts to loom above them. I'm usually a little skeptical when shows take entire episodes to ditch their main cast and focus on other characters, as it can be a pretty hit or miss trope, but luckily, episode 3 of Heated Rivalry is pretty amazing. The chemistry between these two characters is great, and again, I love that there's no insane big evil threat that these two face. No external forces are trying to bring them down. The conflict is based around their relationship and their individual and collective struggles. Kip wants desperately to be seen. He wants it to be known that he has a boyfriend, not to be someone's secret who he sees on the down low, no matter how well Scott treats him. He's not mad at Scott for coming out or going to queer scenes with him. He knows how difficult it is and the risk that Scott's would be taking, but it does make him feel a bit shit as it's not the life he wants to be living. Scott, on the other hand, desperately wants to be the best man that he can for Kip and show him off the way that he deserves to be shown off, but he knows how homophobic this sport can be, and as he describes, hockey is his family. It's his life, it's everything he has. His parents both died when he was a kid, and goddamn, him and Ilia with their fucking parental issues. Shane, Ida, tell your mum and dad to sleep with one eye open, please. But after a while, Scott finally decides that Kip is worth this risk. Kip is his life too, maybe even more so than hockey, and so whether people like it or not, he knows what he has to do to maximize his own happiness and his boyfriend's. The coming out scene on the ice rink is iconic now, and for good reason. It's really excellent and straight out of a rom-com. Everything down to the music is just so beautiful. Oh my god. And yeah, as I said, Elena is brilliant too. She's a great motivator for A, Scott to accept the risk and treat Kip how he deserves to be treated, and B, Kip to realize that he does deserve to be loved publicly and not just be treated as someone's secret. If I had to be a dickhead and nitpick something about this storyline, and I am a dickhead, I would say that I wish we saw more of the repercussions of Scott's coming out. Like, how does this actually affect Scott and Kip? What do their lives look like now? Scott is, unless I missed something, the first out hockey player in this scene, and well, I'm sure not everything is PG for him. I understand that this is Shane and Ilya's show, and I'm glad that episode 6 focused mainly on them two living out their best lives, but I don't know, I feel like there's more story to tell there. I'm not sure if there's a book about it. I don't know anything about the stories that this show is based on. All I know is what I've seen, and what I've seen is hot men making out on my screen for extended periods of time. Long story short, all the characters in this show are really solid, and if they weren't, then the show would fall apart since it relies so heavily on them. I really like this show overall. It's kind of crazy how this thing just came out of nowhere and took the whole world by storm, and I think it's also such an important show too. Again, I'm straight, so I can't really speak for the people who this show is actually for, and tell me to shut the fuck up if I'm out of line here, but I feel like it's nice to have a gay love story so full of real situations, relationship dynamics, and feelings. It's not exaggerated or pushed to the side so a straight couple can take the limelight. It is unashamed and successful in its representation. So, gold star show, you did great. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. Again, please do subscribe if you're new. I spend ages on these reviews, and it only takes a few seconds for you, doesn't it? I mean, realistically, you scroll, you click, it didn't take that long. And go check out my Reacts channel too. I'd like to hit 49 quintillion subscribers on both channels by tomorrow, 9 AM sharp. That should give you enough time, I think. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.